Good day, it's Dykstradave. Today I'm doing a video on cutting this yellow oak that had died a while back. I had dropped it several months back, and today I'm going to mill it into a few boards and some true 4x4s. This was a pretty good sized log. It was about 15 feet long and a good 20 plus inches at its widest. Thankfully, I have my faithful Mahindra there to lift these logs onto the platform. Otherwise, I'd never be able to get these things on. Here we have the measuring and cutting chart on the mill, which is one of my favorite features I love about this big red XT. I'll take a few seconds here to explain how well laid out and extremely simple this is. Everything is color coded, so you can very easily and quickly follow whatever board size you are cutting. Outside white is basically a regular tape measure, and the shaded gray areas gives you 3/4 inch boards. Now, the shaded areas and all the thick black lines you see on all the columns give you a cut that includes your saw blade width. What I mean by that is if you line up the indicator on the red column, say, on the black line, your boards will be a constant 2-inch thickness as the scale takes into account the blade width. So this chart gives you easy and very accurate cuts from 3/4 inch to 4 inch, all the most popular sizes. All your controls are on the right-hand side of the unit for your winch lift, your guide slide, lubrication, your power up are all there to the right of the machine. Here I am sawdust blasting my wood processor. I keep my processor close as I toss my slabs between the two machines and then split those pieces into firewood. In years past, I have tried hard to maximize my board feet from each log, but now I tend to cut off bigger slabs as nothing is being wasted as it is turned into firewood. I make less cuts through the bark, which extends the blade life as well, so it's a win-win. I spared you the couple of minutes of me breaking my back, flipping this very heavy log all the way around and back onto its flat cut. Now, this is how I do things. For the initial slab cuts, I take a measurement from the far end of the log, which is here closest to the camera. Using that measuring guide I mentioned earlier, I use the outside white scale to measure about 1 inch below the bark at the smallest end of the log. This reminds me to remind you, life is so much easier if you place your logs with the widest end at the left of the mill, starting your first cut at that end. Then, knowing the small end measurement, I'm able to start my cut at that measurement at the far end of the log. The far end of the log is the largest part and the widest part, so I can clearly see if I can safely cut off that much without getting my saw bound up. Here I raise the log legs as it makes it much easier to roll the log into them and to keep the log square against them, but always remembering to lower them prior to cutting or bad things will happen. Although it's far less likely due to a great safety feature this mill has built into it, which I have not seen on other mills, but more on that later. It is these moments that I do envy my friends and you out there with those fancy hydraulic mills that do this heavy lifting and rotating at a push of a button. I didn't record me loading or leveling this log in the beginning, but I try my best to level the heartwood or the core of the wood on the mill when I cut. To do this, one must raise the smaller end of the log up. On most mills, you'll need to jack up the log somehow, and then place boards under the log. Others, you hammer wedges underneath till it's level. But with Pascal Metal mills, they think of it all. They incorporate into the mill not one but two manual leveling levers, which work great on all but the largest of logs. I am now cutting the log to 8 inches to prepare it to be flipped and to make my 4x4s. Again, with that measuring scale, it takes into consideration my blade for those two cuts. Normally I wear a respirator and face mask when sawing because there's so much sawdust, but today was a very extremely windy day and the wind was carrying the sawdust away quickly. Ever wonder how hard it is to push this mill? That's 2 4x4s. Another super cool and unique feature on the Big Red is its roller bunk. This has been a back and time saver. Here I use it to fire finished pieces right off the end of the deck and out of the way. But it's really awesome for lining up logs on the deck. I try my best when placing a log on the deck with my tractor to line up the bunks just right, but that doesn't always happen. A knurl, a bend, or a twist seems to get in the way of the bunks. With the rollers on the sides of the deck closest to the operator, I can easily move the largest logs with ease and place the log exactly where I want it on the deck bunks. I am about to save a $40 saw blade here in just a second. Okay, not me, the mill itself is preventing me from cutting into one of my metal dog legs, which I forgot to lower. Every story will tell you, it is inevitable. You will hit one of these metal dog legs. The question is how many times you'll do it. And the second you do, your blade is shot. The mill came to a stop right here. Right away, I knew it had to be one of two things. A piece of bark or wood had fallen onto the tracks, or I had forgotten to lower one of my dog legs. here's a different video showing how the mill prevents this from happening. In front of the blade there's a shield which will contact the metal dog legs before the blade does, saving you not only a ton of frustration and time, but hundreds of dollars in blades. A very smart and simple feature. And that makes 6 4x4s. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. I am no professional, so if you got some tips or suggestions, please feel free to share. If you have not done so, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.